Whitaker didn't have the power, Sessions didn't have the interests, but Barr's going to do it. Hans von Spakovsky is a senior law fellow at the Heritage Foundation and former attorney at the U.S. Department of Justice. So we wait for the Inspector General report to come out. That'll be around May. Where does Barr come in with this team that he assembled to look into the origins of the investigation?
Well, remember, the Inspector General can just make recommendations. They can only make recommendations, for example, for termination, disciplining of DOJ and FBI employees or criminal prosecutions. That's something the Attorney General can only do. And look, we now know that the Russian collusion claim was a complete hoax. So obviously, we need to go back and look, well, does that mean there really was no evidence that the FBI had a basis to use for opening a law enforcement investigation and a counterintelligence operation? If they had no evidence to do that, then they may have abused their authority and their power as federal law enforcement officials. Yeah,
how Hillary Clinton was excused from this, what Comey actually said in July, and then how they went after Papadopoulos and Carter Page, and if you weave in everything else, his dossier. No longer will that be put in the fringe. That'll be front and center. Meanwhile, the Democrats had a whole different agenda. Watch.
2.5 weeks ago, the Mueller report was completed in extremely quick fashion. You turn a 300-plus page report into a 4-page letter that supposedly summarized the findings.
I want to address a serious oversight matter, your unacceptable handling of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report.
Hans, he kept his composure. I know it's going to be increased today in front of the Senate. But they went over and they said Mueller turned down the opportunity to review the summary. They knew about the general feelings of the report before they actually got the 400 pages. It looks like Rod Rosenstein was updated along the way that possibly that there was no collusion. And March 5th is when they found out obstruction was still up in the air. What else did you get from that line of questioning?
Well, the questioning was wrong in saying that it was a summary of the report. It was not a summary of the report. The letter that Barr sent over was, look, here are the conclusions of the report. And the conclusion of the report, obviously, is the most important thing. No obstruction of justice, no evidence of collusion. You know, the other thing they kept doing was they kept bullying Barr into trying to force him to turn over the entire report when they know he can't do it because of federal law and Justice Department protocols.
And Nadler says, after listening to him, he plans on using a subpoena to get the grand jury testimony. He's not going to get the grand jury testimony.
No, he can't. Federal law prohibits the release of grand jury information and evidence. And Barr, like I said, Barr was steadfast. They're going through the report. He's working with Bob Mueller and the Bob Mueller team to take out materials that the law says they can't release, and that includes grand jury material and classified material. And I actually admire Barr for standing up to the committee and not giving in, particularly because he's trying to follow the law, which the committee is not doing.
Which is different from the Starr report. Many of these rules were because of the Starr report. Hans,
that's right.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. We're going to hear more today, get a little bit more information, and then they say within a week we're going to get the whole report. Then if there's even one redaction, the Democrats will say cover up. Hans, thanks so much.
Sure, thanks for having me.